Is this an adventure or what? We don't need unexplained phenomena. I hope you guys are enjoying this journey we're taking you on. I know you come expecting to hear about big cats, cryptids, UFOs. We will touch on some of that, but I think it's worth sharing some of this with you, don't you? There's only 2 living souls up here today.
Because I can see it in my mind, I can see it in my head what I saw, but I can't describe.
Our eyes was closed, like a brightish light in my face, and I just felt paralysed.
Someone said there's something out there, so we had a look. It looked like a walnut. That's the only way I can describe it.
It was like it had loads of tiny little windows all over it, and it had lights in those windows, but not a light that illuminates.
Anyway, we were ushered into this lounge. This fella came in and said, whatever you saw was a weather effect.
And everything is deathly silent. There's no sea, there's no wind, there's no night noise, because you know there's foxes all over here. There's nothing.
Nothing. Evening, everybody, and welcome to Sunday's live stream. And I hope you've all had a great weekend. I've had a busy weekend, but I've enjoyed it. It's all been good. And like as always, I'd like to say, are you looking forward to work? But I don't expect you are. But here we go. So what we're up to today, as it looks like Lee's doing moderating. I'm not sure if Gemma's going to come on. I think she will, and Alison. But if not, thank you, Lee. And yeah, I want some questions in capital letters. Next week, definitely in last hour, I'm going to be talking to a lady who's had a lifetime of experiences. I'm not going to give game away or what they are of a paranormal kind, but it's interesting. When I first read email, I thought it'd be wonderful, and she's never spoke about them, and she's agreed to come on next week. You're a bit short notice this week, so we'll be doing that. And I've got a few guests lined up, but tonight I'm afraid you've just got me, and we'll do an hour, as I say every week. We might do 2 if there's enough questions, and we'll see how. And I've got some things to talk about as well. So let's have a look. I see Mia Girls in, Dot Martin's in, Purple Pipkin, Weeder Fish. I think Linny's will be in somewhere. Maybe I've not seen him. Phil Turner, Annie, Roddy Burns. Let's have a look. Andrew Wild, Dragonborn. Happy birthday to Dragonborn for a few days ago. Zero Dawn. Let's have Zeno's in, Zen. So that's good. Thanks for the support, everybody. Karen Behrman, Richard Bennett. Let's have a look. We've got 195, nearly 200 people in. Maverick. So Jane, we've got Jane and Andrew. Good to see you. And there'll be people I've missed. And obviously I can't do 195, 200 people, but we might do a few more names later. So what we're going to do tonight, I've got a few accounts to share with you guys. I like it if I've not got any, to be honest, because I like to answer these questions. But let's have a look. Somebody's hitting the cliffs. We'll do that in a minute. But I just wanted to get a breakdown, and I'll try and do it every Sunday. And not a diary as such. It's not going to be a book of things, but we as you know, we spend a lot of time in and around these areas. Oh, and I was given or shown some amazing pictures from Monday of last week. And I were hoping I could show you guys them tonight. It was a second party that gave me pictures or let me look at them. And so I didn't have permission. As it happens, I've just got permission literally half an hour since. So I'm not going to load them on. I'll show you guys next week. And yeah, they're interesting. And let's see what you make of them. I've got a few bits to show you. I've got a little bit of audio to play, which I've recorded as I'm walking into town. So the audio is not brilliant, but it's just a strange experience that somebody's had. And I think you guys will find it interesting. But I just thought we'd do just a little bit of a breakdown of how the week has gone. Then see if we can do it every week. I mean, most of the time, we're not going to be telling you of any great significance. But Monday night, there were 5 of us up there. Set the cameras up, did what we normally do, you know, sort of on boots on the ground, field observation, walked about in a few areas, as well as the tri-field meters, the EMF meters, and other items similar, hoping to collect a bit of audio and visual evidence of something. We got nothing. There were nothing happened. And only thing of any significance, police came and give us a visit, and they did a few weeks ago as well, but merely to ask if we'd observed anything unusual on cliff tops, and that was that. That's as far as I'll go with that one. And they were quite happy with us. So then I've just put Chris sent me some interesting images, and I was a bit frustrated I couldn't share them with you guys, but we will do next week. Wednesday, we move on to Wednesday. Similar, except that Michael, who had that experience in Danesdyke, I don't know if you guys, anybody that's not been in chat before, Michael's visited area for a few years, and in 2023, he had a really, really unusual experience in Danesdyke where he were walking with his partner, and he saw something that's just off the scale of normal. And he's told us about it. He's been on stream and told us about it and allows us to film him. And it's an incredible sighting. And he's got something else to share. I wanted him to share it with group before I talked about it. So that might be something for Michael, if you're in here, mate. I see Patrick Daniels in. Good to see you, Patrick. Laura's in, my daughter, Laura Botel, youngest daughter. Yeah, brilliant. And it might be something that Michael wants to share with you guys. If not, I'll talk about it next week or so. Very interesting. Let's have a look. So then Friday came around, which was obviously it's got to do, hasn't it? Large group of people ended up there. Once again, nothing happened. So that's par for the course, when you're in these locations. That I read these reports out, and I say it all the time. For the most part, there's not a lot happening in these locations. It's not like some carnival of the strange. Unexplained phenomena, as we know, just presents when you least expect it. Only thing of interest, and you guys might have some of you might have a perfectly rational explanation for it. Carl came and Sarah, so there's me and Carl stood between Chris Mack, and we're just walking along cliff tops. We'd just left a group of people, and Chris suddenly announced that his ears had popped. Like when you reach a certain height or anything. And we never felt anything. Probably just some quirky thing that affected Chris. I don't know. But that's the limit of the interest right up until Friday. So then we get to last night. Don't normally go up on a Saturday, guys. I don't normally bother Saturdays. But Heidi and Jenny have come to area, some friends of ours. And I thought it were only fair that, they're staying 4 or 5 days, and I'd go up there and spend a bit of time. And it turned out to be quite interesting, really. We midpoint during the evening bumped into a guy called Rob, who's got the podcast. Is it Trails of the Unexpected, which is a good podcast. I recommend anybody go and have a look at it. And so I had a little wander and a talk with him, and I wandered off on my own and just did a little bit of nattering to camera. And then I don't know what time it would have been, 10 p.m., 10:15. Heidi's looking through her thermal camera. Mine's in my bag. I weren't using it. And she said, "Here, Paul, have a look at this." She said, "I know what I think it is." And I looked through the thermal camera, and not very far away from us, there's a cat. Absolutely sure. And she thought the same. It's a big cat. We're not talking a lion or a tiger. We're talking a cat as big as a spaniel. It were there on edge of the cliffs. I mean, she might be in chat tonight. She might back me up on this. And so we saw that last night. And then just before we were going, just as we were packing up, and Rob from the podcast had wandered off into the distance, I told him that as paths might cross, because we were going to be leaving at a similar time. I'm talking to people, and suddenly there's the most amazing, I don't know whether you'd call it a comet, a meteor. It were going straight down. It broke through clouds, so it were in our atmosphere. And I'm sort of getting everybody to turn around and look at it. I was quite animated. And everybody else saw the tail end of it, should we say, the back of it, because it was really spectacular. And then as we're leaving, Rob had obviously seen it. He said, "Did anybody see that?" And obviously I said I did. The others said they'd seen tail end of it. And I'm not sure if it were Rob. I'm sure it was that said it went into sea, and there were illumination underwater. I need to get confirmation of that, because we're like ships that pass in the night, because he were carrying on walking a bit further down. But if it did, then that bit's interesting, isn't it? Don't you think? And there were a guy up from Sheffield with his brother and 2 other people. And they'd come to look at the unexplained, or look for evidence of unexplained phenomena. Got talking to him, Scott, and he sent me some pictures. And last year, I think it was September last year, he'd taken some pictures from Reeton of some objects. And I'll just show you these now. And hopefully I'll speak to him in the next day or two, and we might get a little bit more info. And these lights were just appearing out over the sea. One sec. So they're only taking on his phone, and so we've got a picture there, look, and you can see these orange lights. It's possible the elongated section of the light, it might be a little bit of motion blur, but you can see that there's a reflection on water, and these lights would have just literally switched on and within seconds switched off, or stayed 5 or 10 seconds and switched off and appeared in a different part of the sky. So I think he took 3 pictures, I think, or 4 pictures, but most of them are just about the same. So there's another one there. As you can see, they're a little bit, they've moved, they're bunched together. I'll go back to the other one, then you can see that. And then what I prefer, this other one, the last one I'm going to show you guys, because if you looked at far left, there's a light on water, and it's not there on other pictures, is it? Notice that? And these pictures will have been taken in succession. These lights don't hang around for you to take many pictures. So that's interesting in itself. So we've got that one, we've got that. Nothing on the water. You can see it's from same perspective. And then we've got that one with the light either just over the water or on the water. It's definitely that these have been taken too quick in such fast succession that you're not going to get a boat moving in. So that remains a mystery, what that light is over water. We know it's all a mystery. We're not going to get to the bottom of it, are we? Let's face it. But it's fascinating, isn't it? Nonetheless. And then a guy called Neil sent me some footage. Let's just get to this, guys. Yes, a couple of days ago. I'm not sure. I said to Neil, I emailed him back, and I've spoke to him as well. I said, my gut feeling is that it could be a balloon. So I'm not trying to dress this up as anything else, but I said I'll put it to guys in chat, in audience, when we do live stream on Sunday, and let people form their opinions. Tell us what you think. So I'll put this bit of footage up now. Let's just have a look. Seen it across the sky in Middlesbrough on the 24th of the 4th, 26, 1738. So nearly 20 to 6. I could see it shining and use my iPhone 17, zoomed into the max. It appeared to be no shape, then looked like it started rotating. Nothing on flight radar, and it then vanished. So let's have a look at this. It's only a few seconds.
What the hell is that?
I don't know, guys. It's too inconclusive to say that it could be a balloon for all I know. But I do thank Neil for sending it and taking time to do that. That's really good. So let's just have a look here, see if we've got a Paul, it's in the cliffs next weekend with Prince Boris. I will look out for the bobster. Oh, right. I see. Yeah, Prince Boris is a dog. Yeah, look out for the bobster. Unless Prince Boris is a cat. I'm not sure how he would react to cats, because I took him up to my auntie's and it battered him. So, and he weren't right impressed with that when he walked up to it. So I think he's got a big fear of cats, has Bobby. Let's just go down here a little bit. Let's have a look. Laura Lum. I work with a paranormal research team, and we'd love to assist with investigations and research in your area. Well, that's very kind of you, Laura. And, we're all wanting help. Sam's been up this weekend as well. I should have mentioned Sam and Chloe. And Sam's, if anybody's watched Wolfland, the DVD, Sam's the guy who's from Skinning Grove, and when he were a young boy playing hide and seek in that woodland, got hidden and sort of tucked himself away, nice and discreet. Heard the few twigs snapping. Then another twig, and when he looked up, this thing's watching him, this huge creature that, for all intents and purposes, described just like a Bigfoot, really, but monstrously huge, yeah. But Sam's is made some audio equipment that's really, really good, which we're going to deploy in certain areas around these locations. It'll have to be hidden. It'll have to be buried, to be honest with you. It's got recording device in it, and which is very expensive. I think each unit costs about £500. And we went up onto cliff tops last night and just tested it. You can it involves putting a steel rod into the ground and attaching it to a steel rod, and it detects sounds from below the earth. And you're thinking, why do you want to do that? Well, I'm not going to say that this is what we're going to do, but if you remember Stephen Collins, Steve's probably in chat, he sat on the burial mound at Willie Howe and heard sounds below the mound from almost like inside the mound. We're not expecting to hear people talking, and all that, but wouldn't it be interesting if it's picking up sounds? Well, that's sensitive. You can rub a blade of grass on it and it sounds loud. So that was fascinating, and it'll be good to see how this pans out, how it develops in the areas that people have reported hearing sounds coming from below the ground. 2 years ago, I met that young guy when I went for a really early morning walk at 4:30 down to Danesdyke, and he were on the beach doing a bit of foraging, I think, but he'd slept there all night. And obviously, I'm the only person around. He come up and had a natter to me and asked him if anything unusual had happened during the night, and he had experienced anything. He'd not come for any of that. He'd come just to have a bit of solitude, I believe. And he said to me, well, yeah, there was. He says, I were up on top of cliffs there camping. Early hours, very, very early hours, he said. And don't forget, I were there at 4:30. So we're talking like 3 a.m. in the morning. He said, and there was a scraping sound. Now, this is woodland. There's no concrete. These are trees, leaf fall, leaf litter. He said, and it sounded like heavy steel being dragged across concrete. I says, well, where? He said, very close to me. So that's interesting, isn't it? He were part of the reason I started putting voice recorders in the dike, hoping we could pick up some of these unusual sounds. So, yeah, getting back to Laura, it's difficult, isn't it? Because we're up there as a team, and I'm not ruling it out, Laura, but there's a kind of a tight unit that go up there now, like 4 to 6 people, and I don't know how that would fit in. You know what I mean? And would you be there at the times we're there? That'd be the difficulty, wouldn't it? I mean, I didn't intend going up last night, but I did, and I'm so glad because I met up with Rob from the podcast, and I met up with Scott, who told me about his sightings and took those photographs, which I'm going to speak to him later in the week, and obviously Sam and Chloe and Heidi and Jenny. So, yeah, we'll not rule it out, but I don't know how it would work at the moment. Let's have a look. Annie, is there any chance of joining the cliff tops one night this week, please? I'm here till Friday. I don't see why not. Seriously, I don't see why not. What you'll have to do, if you've got my email, which is my name, Paul Sinclair, with 3 letters after it, ilf@gmail.com. Email me, and I'll send you phone number. Or phone number's probably on YouTube channel anyway, or at least the email will be. I'm in North Yorkshire in the morning, so I'll not be back till later. But I'm going to do a little bit of exploring in one of these forests up there. So, yeah, I don't see why not, Annie. Let's have a look. Nige Chef Lad, thank you. A Worcester sauce, is that what it is? Thank you for all the support. Absolutely brilliant. And I do, it's amazing. And, and to have people like Lee doing moderating, and Alison and Laura and Gemma. I don't know where she is tonight, but she's really let me down. I'm only joking. Let's have a look. Zaphoid Beeblebrox, what a name. It's disturbing that there's a dozen or so top scientists that have disappeared mysteriously in the USA within the last couple of... It is, but I don't want to get too sort of flying away too far into conspiracies, because I've also looked at this online, and some of the relatives of the missing people have said there's no conspiracy, and they're finding it quite disturbing that people are turning it into a conspiracy. So I don't know. I suppose time will tell. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Jojo, thank you. And let's have a look. Michael's in as well. Let's have a look. Just a warning for people visiting Danesdyke Calf, Paul. It's cash only there now. Well, okay, Simon. And I'll be honest with you, Simon, I'm a bit of a dinosaur. I thought I didn't know it were anything different. If somebody said you've got to pay by card, I mean, it might as well be a birthday card for me. I don't think I've used a credit card more than 2 or 3 times this year, if that. So I know I'm in a minority there. I know everybody uses cards, but that's the way of things with me. So, but it is worth noting because a lot of people use cards. So if it's cash only, thanks for letting people know. And let's have a look. Any recent incidents of synchronicity? My friend told me she heard a woodpecker. I woke up that night at 3 a.m. with the telly on. 2 blokes discussing hearing a woodpecker. Spooky. It is spooky, isn't it? And it's not so much paranormal, but I think it's happened twice with me and Ian. Ian's in chat. Is listening to this. And I don't... One at times... for some unknown reason, he said that he walked past his phone. I think we might have done this other day, and his phone rang, and it was me. My phone rang, and it was Ian. Yeah, I never rang the phone. I never called him, and Ian never called me. So I don't know whether that's synchronicity. That's just odd. But then, I don't know. I think it was Friday, just gone. I just picked my phone up to ring him to say, I'll pick you up at 7:15, and I was just about to press it, and he rings me. So that's just coincidence, isn't it? But yeah, these incidents of synchronicity, they are interesting, aren't they? And 2 blokes discussing a woodpecker. Well, there you go. 216 chat. Let's have a look. There's 300 and odd, and going on for 350 now. Right, Michael Turnbull. Evening, Paul. Was great to see you last weekend, and thanks again to Jack and Barbara for the gift. Feel free to share the Humby incident, mate. I'm going to do, Michael. I really am. I'll tell you what I'd like to do. I'd like you to come on for half an hour, maybe next week or week after, and share it, because I think it's brilliant. It's really interesting. And he's on about the gift that Jack's wife, Barbara, made, and she made these look. Aren't they good? Yeah, little aliens. I think we're all aliens, aren't we? So thank you, Barbara. Yeah, it's very kind of her. And okay, let's have a look, Michael. Oh gosh, let's have a look at this. Paul, we're in Filey for a few days next weekend. Okay, and look us up, give us a shout, and I hope weather's good to you. I'm hoping it's going to be good tomorrow. I'm going to stop with these questions for a minute because I've got a few little bits that I didn't get through last week. So we just played that bit of footage. I realised some of you might have commented, and I've not even got to that. Me personally, and I did tell Neil, I think it might be a balloon. It just looks a bit too erratic. But then again, what does a true UFO look like? What does it do? None of us really know, do we? So let's have a look. Dragonborn has started a Facebook group up. The Friends of Truth Proof. So if you want to gravitate over to that and give us a bit of support, you can. And she's helping me with that, which I really appreciate. And there's a few people joined it already. So, we'll just share a bit of information. I'll be able to do what I don't normally do on social media and start putting some pictures up and that, because although I'm on Facebook, I don't put loads up. So let's have a look. Right, this is a strange one, and I think I'll have to play it twice, simply because I'm walking and talking as I'm recording this man telling me what happened, and is a bit erratic in how he's talking. I know the guy. He's from Doncaster. I know the guy, so I know he's on the level. He's not into paranormal. He literally contacted me to say that he's had this strange experience, and I'll give you the breakdown so you're kind of with it before you hear him talking, because like I said, I'm probably going to have to play it twice. Basically, he's gone to bed before his wife. Not being in bed long, he's not asleep, and he's kind of looking up in the darkness at the ceiling, and these ribbons, I think I've talked about it, come down, but I've got his recording here to play for you guys. And he's watching them. He's not asleep. He's certainly watching them, but it's what happens next. He reaches up and touches them, and he says they feel like paper, and he can feel them. And he gets up. He's kind of disturbed by what he's looking at, and goes downstairs and tells his wife. And I think he says something to the words of, if I'm not here in the morning, this has just happened. then he goes back to bed and it does it again 2 times. So I think I'm going to play this twice, guys, and it's not that long, so that you can maybe take it in, because it's difficult to hear some at words.
Well, no, actually, I don't think I got in bed.
How long?
2 minutes.
Oh, bloody hell. Right, okay.
And I just looked up in like for going to sleep.
Yeah.
To say, and then I got these swirls coming down.
And there were swirls. Were they wider at top and finer at bottom, like a funnel?
Yeah, I go to these candles. You see these things like all these swirls and that.
Oh, swirling material like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Well, that's what it was like.
How many?
Oh, it were loads, swirling round and round.
And coming from ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually put my hand up and touched it. It felt like paper.
So you could feel them?
Well, I just felt into them like.
Right, okay.
And then I put my hand back down.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, as I say, and then next thing, I see is like a blue light, an orange light.
Behind them?
Behind them.
Yeah. And how big were they?
Quite big. Maybe about like a full square.
Oh, they were square. So there's a blue square and an orange square.
So say I went downstairs then.
So when you sat up, did it all just stop?
Yeah.
You're right, okay. So you go downstairs, tell your missus.
Yeah, and then I went, come back to bed. I turned to my side then.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not looking up to the ceiling, I'll turn to my side and look at the face wall.
Right.
So saying that, and then I got the swirls coming out of the wall. There's no light or all like that.
No light. And did you touch them again?
Well, no, I didn't. So I just turned to the other side then. So saying then I'd got like a barricade outside of me.
A wall?
And yeah, like a tight in my arm.
What arm was that, right or left?
On my right, like so.
Yeah, yeah. So you're definitely not asleep, so you've not dreamt it.
Oh, no.
And there's a blue square and an orange square in first episode.
Yeah.
And so orange square must have been bigger, because could you only see like outer edges at orange square?
Well, no, you could really make the orange square out the back of it.
Right, I see, yeah. Did it feel warm or cold?
Well, it didn't feel out.
No? Apart from you could actually feel it, well, it felt like paper, the swirl.
Yeah.
What about sound?
No sound or out.
No? Any feelings like electric or static?
No.
Did it frighten you?
It made me curious like that, were all more than out.
What do you think? I don't know. I know it's difficult to get all the words that he's saying, or I found it difficult. I had to listen to it a few times, but I'm not going to play it again. I didn't realise it was as long, to be honest, guys. But have you ever heard of it like that? Is it some kind of hallucinatory episode that he's having? He felt it. It felt like paper. That's incredible, I think. You know, and that's just from a normal house in suburbia in Doncaster with houses either side of you. So you don't have to be in these remote locations to experience something like that. And he'd only been in bed a few minutes. I asked him as well, has anything else ever happened like that before in your life? Never. I think he's 67 years old, this man. So I don't know what you guys think to that. You might already have an answer for it. You might already have experienced something like that yourself. I don't know. But I found it fascinating. Okay, well, I've got another bit of footage in a bit. We might get to that. Let's have a look at this, though. Did you see the meteorite footage the other week from Mappleton? There's a quick answer to that one, Davos. And I didn't know. I wish we'd have got that footage last night, whatever that was. It's ironic because it was directly behind us. And if it had been any other day bar Saturday, there'd have been a camera fixed on us and you'd have had the view of the sea. That would have been in film. And I know that the podcast guy, Rob, I know he saw it and he got a better view than us because he was further up the cliffs at an higher elevation. So fascinating. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go down a little bit. All right. Right, let's have a look. What do you think the aliens got out of the Humby incident? Oh, Rick Allen. Hey up, Rick. Good to see you. Me and Rick have been doing some interviews, and you'll not mind me saying, because they're going to be good. We've done 2, and the first one we were just feeling the ground. So we may not use that one or use a little bit of it, but the second one's brilliant. And you're gonna, I think you guys are going to be really interested in what Rick's got to share. I'm not going to give game away, Rick. Don't worry. But we've gone back to as far as we can go back, and we've got to know Rick a little bit, and I think it's really good. What do you think the aliens got out of the Humby incident? I don't know, Rick. I don't know. Everything was controlled, though, weren't it? In my opinion, and I spoke to one of witnesses literally this morning and Saturday, just by chance. I bumped into him twice, and we talked about doing something because Nick his part-time job is photography. He photographs and films bands. So he's wanting to do something with me on the Humby incident, and he says we'll have to start it. We'll have to do it this year. And I kind of agree with him. But what did they want? What did they want from it? I don't know. We're going to want a little bit of a little bit more information, I think, before we can move forward with Humby. But there's talk of all these UFO cases. And the best case in the world is Roswell, or that this case is the best in the world. I'm not going to say Humby is the best in the world, but I tell you what, it's up in the same league as all these major UFO cases. The only reason it's not widely known about is because only person that's looked into it is me, and I've got that much on my plate trying to get through other things, and probably too many sort of plates in air that maybe you should just be concentrating on a super case like Humby or another one like Wilsthorpe, but I haven't done. And but there's the scope to do a lot more with Humby. I don't know what they'd have got out of it. My gut feeling is it was some kind of staged meeting, and that's as much as I'll say. I think it were all pre-planned. I think it were known about. Before it happened, even if the lads at the factory weren't privy to what were going to happen, but time will tell. I didn't tell you much. And Phil Morgan's in now. Phil's a great guy. Phil comes on to Cliff Tops, and you may have heard me a few times say that in thermal camera, when we're looking, we have a scan round it sometimes because it's so dark. The only thing that will operate in them conditions, even the psionics is no use, is a thermal, because it'll pick up an heat signature. And we looked down the cliffs and I could see 2 figures walking. And I don't know, 20 minutes later, out of the darkness, this man comes. Were there anybody else with you? No, nobody else with me. We definitely saw 2 figures in thermal, and that's happened a couple of times, which is odd. Another heat signature, and there's only one person turns up. So and he's a brave man, is Phil. He gets about all over. Andrea Dingbat, let's have a look. Blue Shift Robs, hope you're feeling better, mate. Margaret Webster, and I can't even pronounce that. Erico, Rick Allen. Let's have a go. Let's go down here. So we'll get a question from Zen. One of the missing scientists was on video. The treaties of 54 with the P-47s and the P-53 Greys from the future. If we don't suffer an EMP and go to the Stone Age, it's always happening. Okay, I've said this to you a few times, Zen. We need you on here because your knowledge, you look into all this. I've got my role, whereas I'm sort of out boots on the ground and everything, but you're looking into all this in a lot more detail than me. And it's no good me trying to comment on it because I haven't got the knowledge that you've got there. Let's have a go. Explorer the Outdoor. Thanks for showing my video. You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely. And I'm assuming, it's got to be Neil. Yeah, absolutely, Neil. You're welcome. And let's have a look. Grey Mill Burn. Let's have a look. We're just going to go down a little bit. Let's have a look. Paul, have you got any more? Oh, it's Ian. Have the thoughts you can share on what's gone very quiet with the sightings and the atmosphere? Have you got any thoughts on why it's gone very... do you know, Ian, this is something, obviously Ian comes up onto cliff tops, he's there as much as me. And I wondered last night when I went up, not because you weren't there, but because the team, us as a team, when we go up, in between 4 and 6 people, dynamic had changed, and there's sort of me, Heidi and Jenny. Then the lads from Sheffield arrived, which we didn't know they were going to come. And Heidi did say, I wonder if anything will happen, because there's a different group of people. And to be honest with you, nothing did. But my thoughts on why it's gone quiet, I just think that, like everything, there's periods where you have these lulls. But we're kind of safe in the knowledge, I believe, because of what we have seen in the past. And in particular, that light that visited us, which people probably be sick of me talking about, but I can't get over how it was with us. Because of what we have seen in the past, because of what you managed to film on that hillside, because of what I filmed and out over the sea, the light that I saw with Lee Haywood in the field, that huge sphere of light that was in the field, just literally, I don't know, 50 to 60 meters from us. And that was huge, as in Lee's own words, the influence that the light gave off were as big as a Volkswagen Beetle. I mean, I'm not concerned. And I know you're not, because as we know, and as you know, we can't expect to go up there and things are happening every single night of every week of the year. So it's the expectancy. It's like fishing. Chris Mack, he's a keen angler, and he's probably got more patience than all of us to sit there. Sometimes you could sit there for 4 or 5 hours, just watch a little float, just have a little nudge, and we get little tickles of something. Like a flash of light in the ground on the grass, which don't make sense, does it? But it's something. But I guess what we need, what we desperately need, guys, is something that we can show you. And we've shown you proof of something. We don't know what the something is, with the footage that we managed to obtain. And there'll be some podcasters, there'll be some people talking about these things that'll sort of ride on the back of that footage every podcast and show it and talk about it, or talk about a certain incident. And I like to kind of try and give you something different. I'm going to share a story now. Let's have a look. So let's just go here. We'll do this one, if that's all right with you guys. 48-year-old guy from County Durham. I have a story which I know you will find interesting, which you might be able to put my experience into the bigger piece, into the bigger puzzle of strange things that you are dealing with. Okay, it was the summer holidays 2021. Unsure of the exact date or day. It was just after 1:30 a.m. in the morning. It's a strange story, this. Myself and a friend were walking home and I'm not going to say his me address and everything, but it says Lansdowne Street, up through North Park, through the graveyard to Ruby Street. So if you're from County Durham, you'll probably know some of these streets. And I like it when they give you so much detail, because you know that they're on the level. We were heading to our friend's house. Anyway, as we approached the park entrance, which is at the top of Cumberland Street, he likes his streets, this fella, doesn't he? I spoke to him today, by the way, and he's allowed me to record him. So you'll be hearing his full account on channel late, not tonight, but at some point in future. If you want to look on Google Maps, you can get an idea of the area. I started getting a strange feeling, a feeling like I was being followed, or like we were being followed, because he's with his friend. There's a common thread here, isn't there? A lot of people, no matter what genre of the unexplained, a lot of people, whether it be UFOs, be it cryptids, any other type of phenomena, report the feeling of being watched, the feeling of being followed, a presence of something. So is it just the effects of the unknown that create that fear feeling inside a person, or is it the knowing from something that's actually doing it? I don't know. At the time, my impression was that someone, a human, was following us because he's not looking for anything else. So we both walked into the football court and stood behind the 8-foot metal fence. Me at the right-hand side and my friend Steve on the other side. And I asked him today, I didn't know until today, about 35 meters apart, looking for a person or persons who I expected to see coming along the pathway. Okay, guys, bear with me. Right. We stood there for several minutes. Steve was wanting to leave, but I didn't. I was still certain that there was someone lurking, someone watching from the shadows. And I did say to him as we were talking today, I says, did you think you were going to get jumped? Did it feel ominous? And he said it did a bit, yeah. Didn't say them words that I've just said, but it felt a bit strange. So I gave him a fag and told him to wait. And I told him to go back to the corner and keep your hand over your cigarette so you don't give our position away. So he's definitely on edge, this guy. Something's definitely got him on high alert, and he's wise enough to keep the glow of that cigarette out of sight. After 7 or 8 minutes of watching behind the fence, looking across the top to Brougham St. Zetland Street and the bottom of the field, suddenly a large, dark, transparent rectangle glided from a tree 40 foot in front of us. And he said, what he didn't say here, because this is initial email, but what he said today was, if you look at the static on an old TV, and you got that sort of great, when the TV's on, but there's no picture on, he said it were like that, but black. And he could see this. You could clearly cut out of the darkness. It went to a second tree that was about 30 foot into the distance from the first tree. Now, it then folded up as you would shut a pair of curtains. So it just sort of folded together. And it then folded up and would shut as you would shut a curtain, then glided 40 foot towards towards the 8 to 9 foot bushes at the park entrance, the top of Cumberland Street. My mate Steve shouted, "What's that? Do you see it?" And I shouted, "Yes." Then he shouted, "Look, it's dimmed the light." So as it get to these edges, there's a street light, and as it got to the edges, so we've got to infer from it that there's some kind of, it's absorbing power, because the street light didn't go out, it just went very dim. So there's something happening there that's not normal, isn't there? But all of this doesn't sound normal. That when it entered the bushes, there was a lamppost at the corner of the house. It was a couple of meters from the bushes at the top of Cumberland Street, where the light went dim. The street light dimmed, but only in the area around the bush, and in front of the bush for about 6 to 7 seconds. Right, let's have a go. We haven't done yet. The shape as it glided was the size of a transit van. It didn't seem to have any depth from what I could see. If you can imagine a TV, grey fuzzy with no channel, when no channel is on, it was like that, but much blacker. So basically what I've just told you guys, it was transparent. I believe that this thing, whatever it was following us across the bottom of the park, moving from tree to tree. And I picked up on it, but I was expecting it to be a person or persons. Have you ever heard anything like this, Paul? I would like to hear about it if you have. I also need to say that when it happened, it didn't frighten me, but it just left me uneasy. But it did frighten Stephen. All he kept saying was, we couldn't have seen the same thing at the same time. So I know his eyes picked up on it as well. It's an interesting one, that, isn't it? You know, we say it every week, or I say it regular. Just when you think you've heard everything and you're not going to hear anything else unusual, a story like that pops up, and that one truly is, to me, that's a different one, and it's folding up to nothing and then stretching out, and when it's stretched out, it's gliding from tree to tree. What do you think, guys? Is that man-made tech? Is that something that's well, why would you test it near a football park in a built-up area in suburbia? Why would you do that? Unless maybe that's the test. To see how discreet it is, and test it at 1:30 in the morning in a built-up area and see if anybody notices it. Well, these guys did, and he's allowed me to record him, and we're going to put it out. And even from this, he's hoping that somebody else might say, "Yeah, I've seen something like that," or "Yes, I saw that." And one more thing that he added, which he's not put in his email today. A few days after he'd seen it, he's lived there 40 years. They cut all the edges down. He said, really low. and they were 7 to 8 foot, and they'd been like that for years and years. He says in the 40 years that he'd lived there, he'd never seen them cut. So a few days after, all where this thing travelled, the edges had been cut down. What's that telling us? That's interesting in itself, isn't it? I think so. It's the detail within the detail that I find fascinating. So let's have a look. Blow shift. So what's he want? Did anyone come forward after watching Wolflands to share any insights? We've had a few people with some incredible accounts, Rob, and obviously we'll be sharing some of them. There's Michael, who's in chat now, who's seen that amazing. You've got to call it. I don't know what you'd call it. It's almost something that shape-shifted in Danes Dyke. No reason to disbelieve Michael. He comes across as being as genuine as everybody, you know, as the next man. And what a story. And he's seen this tall figure. And looking back now, because he's comparing it with the height of correct me if I'm wrong here, Michael, I think he said a Ford Fiesta, an old Ford Fiesta, which is about 48 inch to top at roof. And he says it were twice as tall. But he didn't realise it's only when you're analysing these things afterwards. So he's seen a tall figure in a long, kind of waxy coat, a bit like, when he's describing it to me, it kind of reminds me of Clint Eastwood in that High Plains Drifter, the long leather coat, or you kind of know what I'm on about, with a hat on. I think he said I can't remember the name of that, but he said he'd got a hat on. Walked across, went behind the car, and as it went behind the car, it lowered down and became something else. He's adamant that that's what he saw. It's fascinating, isn't it? So if that's what you mean, there's a lot of people come forward with different stories. Yeah, Rob. I mean, I've gone through a few of them with Chris Turner, and obviously me and Les are kickstarting Wolflands 2, which probably won't be like Wolflands. We'll probably have to rename it because we've entered suburbia a little bit with this one. Whereas a lot of the others were out in we call the wilderness, out in the wilds. There were nothing that were close to town, really. But it's still good. It's still going to be interesting to knit it all together and see where we go with it. I interviewed Roger about the red London bus on the cruise liner the other week. I may have touched on that last Sunday, I'm not sure. But that were an interesting interview. I really enjoyed that. And I got him sat on Bridlington seafront. Took a chair down, took the camera, set it up, and he's got the sea in the backdrop, and he's just gone through this story. It's just brilliant. It only takes 15, 20 minutes, but it's interesting, and it's going to be there. It's recorded then, isn't it? And hopefully somebody who's been on board that cruise ship might put their head above parapet or their hand up and say, do you know something? We saw that. And I think that's what Roger's hoping for, but we shall see. So yeah, lots of people coming forward with insights, Rob, and it never stops. There's loads and loads of reports. And last week, and I've not got a lot here. There's only a few paragraphs, but I said that I'd heard of somebody who got allegedly attacked by a big cat. So, and I tried to touch on it, but I'd not got the detail as such from what was written to me. For the record, it was June 1990 on a very black night on a lonely beach. Excuse me, I'm not going to say where. All I can say is that an animal jumped onto my shoulders from behind, forcing me to my knees and bruising the back of my head through the two hoods, presumably teeth. That's what he says, not me. When I put my head torch on, a black animal the size of a Labrador ran swiftly into the night. The police have it on record. And there's a bit more to it, but I have never said it was a panther, but the behaviour, approaching from behind, going for the neck, jumping at night, no noise, suggests a cat of some description. So last week I touched on it, but I didn't have enough detail to give you. And that's all I've got now. And it makes you think, though, doesn't it? I mean, a true big cat. And we know we're going to get people jumping on me for saying a panther. There's no such thing as a panther. It's a melanistic leopard. We get it all the time when we talk about these cats. But the word panther takes you to where I'm going. Me personally, though, I don't disbelieve that something didn't jump on his back in the form of a cat even. But I think if it was a panther-sized cat, something that big, I think there'd be a little bit more, there'd be more injuries than what's been described. Let's put it that way. Let's go on. Let's have a look here. We'd work around you, Paul, as we want to assist. I don't think you would get in way. It's just a matter of everything's time. everything's time. Same for Ian, it's same for Pete. Clifftop Pete, I never mentioned you, mate. You're in, and Ben's in. Everybody, everything's has to fit into time for me. I'll be up at 6:30 tomorrow to North Yorkshire, and I want to get back if I can and do a little bit in the afternoon when I get home. And I'm no different to everybody else. I realise everybody's got things to do, but just be good at chat, as I've always been fascinated with what you do. Well, thanks, Laura. I'm sure we will chat as well, so we'll not rule that out. Let's have a look here. You can purchase all the Truth Proof books in a set of 4 and Night People, all from the Truth Proof website or on eBay and Amazon. Thank you, Lee. Appreciated. I mean, the books, we do it every week, don't we? Truthproof.uk if you want the Truth Proof books. And they're all first-hand accounts. And as I said, there's 4 of the Truth Proof books, and then there's the Night People about my own experiences. You can also get them on eBay. I like eBay because literally just print off a label, put label on, and I go to the post office and it's done. I don't even, all postage is all incorporated in eBay. But I'm not saying just use eBay. Truthproof.uk is good enough. And obviously, if you want the DVD, the Wolflands DVD, which me and Les made, that's on Amazon Prime as a download, or you can buy the DVD from same method, the website or via eBay. Entirely up to you. And usually, if I'm not trying to sell one tonight, obviously I'm not here not to sell them, but if you bought anything tonight, it'll be in post tomorrow. It'll probably be afternoon tomorrow because I've got a bit on in morning, but it'll be in post tomorrow, I can assure you. So thank you, Lee. Appreciate that. All right. Let's have a look. Will you invite Yvette Fielding to any of your investigations? I've met Yvette Fielding. I met her at a conference in Hull, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And I've done a few radio shows with her, like podcasts that she was doing. But I'd never thought about inviting her to Clifftops, and for no other reason than it just never crossed my mind. Would she be interested? I know they're like unexplained phenomena, but it's more hauntings and ghostly phenomena, is it not? I talked about UFOs and other things when I did a few shows with her, but I have no objection to anybody coming up there and sharing their information. That's what I liked about, Rob from, I need to get this right, Rob from Trails of the Unexpected, because he did one of his live streams, well, one of his talks, should I say, his small films that he makes and puts on YouTube, and he talked about the Flixton werewolf. So basically, he covered a lot of what I've already put out there. But he did it, in my opinion, really well. He did it really respectful. He referenced the fact that I'd talked about it. He referenced the fact that I'd done this, I'd said that. I don't want hero worship or praise, but when you've actually brought stories into prominence, it's so rude when people walk about talking about it and never even mention it. It's been like me talking about Rendlesham Forest and thinking I've invented it, which is not true. Do you know what I mean? It's just good, and I liked the way that guy put that over. So I've loads of time for him, and I'd love to promote his live streams and his YouTube channel. So let's have a look here. Yvette Fielding. Let's have a look. Paul, what's the possibility of tunnels? I have met 2 people in the last 3 weeks that have been working on huge tunnels all over the world. What's the possibility of tunnels? Well, Zena, I suppose if you've met people that are working on huge tunnels all over the world, then, and you believe these people, then you know there's a possibility that these tunnels exist. So I don't see any reason why not. I mean, it'd be interesting. I mean, the underground audio equipment that Sam's developed, I don't think it's going to pick up anything connected to huge tunnels under the ground. We're more interested in the places where people claim that they've heard noises from below the ground, in places where there shouldn't be noises from below the ground, and putting it in those locations. And we're not going to say where, not when Sam's invested best part of £500 on each piece of kit, and that wouldn't be fair. But that's what interests us. But huge tunnels or a tunnel network, I don't see why not. Oh, we wouldn't be privy to it, would we? I do have information about that, to be honest, but I can't say it on here. And it's not groundbreaking information, but I just don't want to say it because it's the person that told me asked me not to. Simple as. But let's have a look. Let's have a look here. Christopher Withers. I was at Bempton Friday and I was finding it hard going. You're fitter than me, Paul. You want to try them ravines up in forests where I'll be, you know what I mean, over the next few days. But I love it. You know, I'm really looking forward to it. I'll be off with Chris Wright in the morning, and we'll go early and see how the day unfolds. So, but yeah, we're all getting older, mate, aren't we? Everything aches on me, I'll be honest with you. And even this, like the YouTube channel, and if you look back 5 years and you look at yourself now, nobody ever sees themselves get old, do they? You don't look in the mirror, and because it happens that gradual, you don't see that you're looking old and you're getting old. I see people and think, bloody hell, they've aged. I have. You know what I mean? It's only when looking back. So you're probably fit for your age, Christopher, and just like the rest of us, we just do what we do and just get out and enjoy it as best you can while you can, you know. Let's have a look. And I take it you didn't say out at Bempton the other day. Zaphoid Bible box. I think it's from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I felt like great. Okay. Thanks, Selma. Okay. Oh, we're on about the name. I didn't know that. I wouldn't have known that, but yeah, I'm on the page now. Thank you. Let's have a look. Let's just go down a little bit. Al Durham. Always like it when Al Durham fires a question at me because he always, right, have you heard any recent action at Hastarlan? I haven't, Al, and I wonder if you have. But, you know, I think the lights, although we're not seeing the lights with any great frequency at the moment over the sea, I think that we're probably seeing something very similar to what they're seeing at Hastarlan. And it is fascinating, and that's gone on for years and years. Al probably knows how long it's been documented. I don't. But no different to off our coast and probably off different parts of the coast all around United Kingdom. Like I said, I don't think we're unique, but I haven't heard anything of any great interest from Hastarlan. What I do find interesting, though, is that the guy, one of the principal guys involved in it, does think that there's some kind of intelligence to the lights that are presenting there. I don't know. I know Carl Crusher went. We've had on live stream. He went over there, took some cameras. The camera weren't brilliant, to be honest, but he were on his own. But he took some cameras and inquired with locals and that. And there were other phenomena occurring at Hastarlan. But it strikes me that the people involved are more invested in the light form phenomena than anything else that's happening. And once if that's no slant at anybody, by the way, but if that's what's happening, then there's a trick missed in the research, isn't there? Just like major UFO organizations, you've heard me say loads and loads of times, guys, sighting of some UFO in a woodland, in a forest, and then the witness, as an afterthought, said, we saw a strange creature. And that part gets missed out. Or vice versa, the cryptid researcher, and somebody talks about seeing unusual spheres of light just before it's been seen or just after. And that part gets missed out because they want to invest their thoughts and their narrative as it being some unidentified hominid that's managed to evade detection in the forests of the great forests of America and Alaska and the regions of Alaska or even the UK. And chances are it might not be. It might be something totally different. It exists. I think there's a reality to it. I mean, the people that are seeing cryptid phenomena in the UK, I seriously don't believe that these things could live undetected in our forests and woodlands. I mean, there'll be people in chat saying, I think you're wrong, Paul. I don't agree with you. And that's, I don't have a problem with that. But me personally, I think there's something of a paranormal nature to the cryptid phenomena. You talk about people being spoken to internally, the mind speak when in contact with these things. You talk about the actual movement of these things and this gliding movement, almost as though they're on a conveyor belt, and the speed and the distance that these things cover. And look at the calories that these things would need to eat. I know we're jumping about here, people, But you look at the body type, and they're a big lump, aren't they? In most instances, get people reporting sort of wiry-looking things, but in most instances, you're looking at a great big, unathletic-looking lump of meat. Basically, a great big creature. It's not really built for speed, is it? It's endomorphic, which is sort of basically not built for speed. You've got your mesomorph, your ectomorph, which would be thin, but these are endomorphic. They're really, really they look lethargic and sluggish. Yet the reports from people say that they cover incredible distances in seconds, and they literally they run parallel along a straight road or forest floor, and then carry on going up a gradient, and the speed doesn't change. There's something else happening with these things, aren't they? And the calories they'd need to consume, which would be immense. If these things weigh 800 to 900 pounds, they'd have to be consuming 20,000 calories a day. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Who can say? Stalin. So Al Durham, we need Al Durham on here, because Al's got some great information that he could share, and he probably won't come on, but he really has. And let's have a look. Right. Watch the short films on YouTube channel. Yeah, please do. Let's have a look. Maverick. Paul, if the phenomena you have been experiencing are real, what do you think the purpose or intent may be, if any? It's a really good question. It's one that makes you think, Maverick, isn't it? Well, it makes me think. What do these things want from us, if anything? Do they even consider us? Up until, excuse me, up until that kind of light form visitation, everything that happened on the cliff seemed to have been on its terms, whatever it is, this unknown other. You would see lights out at sea, 1, 2, 3, 4 orange lights, sometimes only 2, appear in a different part of the sky, lights under sea. It were almost that we were lucky to be in that place and catch sight of these things, whatever they may be. Some of it quite possibly could be man-made tech. That incredible sphere that Ian filmed, Linny, on Hillside, I don't think we were ever meant to see that. I really don't. Me and Jeremy had gone off in opposite direction. There was it was almost as though there were a distraction set up that day, because there's a dull green light in the distance. Anybody that's been in here before and listened, you know what I'm saying. But if not, if you've not heard it before, we walked into the night, leaving Ian on his own, because we thought it were a member at team who has a head torch on that. When it's turned off, if there's a dull green light, just glows on it. And they didn't come. But yet we saw it light. We all saw it. So we walked into the distance. I think that were a distraction. I really do. Lenny's just got his new camera. He's testing it out, this thermal. And he manages to get that amazing bit of footage. I don't think we were meant to see. I don't think we were meant to get that footage. So what is its purpose? Do you think or its intent might be? A few years ago, we filmed some spheres of light in the field. We've got them on film. There's blackness, and then they just blow up. There's a red orb. I think there's an orange one, and I think there's a blue one. I don't know what distance they are, but I walked over to them, and I can't say this is the reason, but I don't know. Not long after that, I were out of commission. You guys might remember that there's no live streams. There's nothing. My face looked like I'd been stung with a swarm of bees. And I've just done an interview, and I got Linny on part of the interview. We did a little 10-minute one as well as a segment, because with Simon Holland, and no doubt he'll be putting that out shortly. He wants some more information from me, which I'll send him if I can, if I've time this week. And he's using some of them images and the images that happened to me. If it's to do with that, then so be it. But I'm not going to say it is, but it's strange. I've never experienced anything like it, where it just literally looked like I'd been beat up. Everything it were awful. So intent. Do we need to be near these things? I don't know. Like I said before, that visit, the visitation, I think everything were on its terms, but it almost felt, it felt special to us that night, that that we were visited by the light. It was with us. It was amongst us. And I'm still looking for ingredient in my mind. We're all looking for ingredient that made that happen that night. And do you know what? Michael's in chat. Michael was with us that night. Is he the ingredient? Is it? You don't know, dear. But he were with us that night, and that was special. So, what its purpose? Is it just acknowledgement? It's hard to say. We didn't feel any ill effects after it. We felt absolutely elated when it happened. But there's lots of other things where you're feeling a little bit threatened, and you're glad that you're with other people when things happen. Sometimes it's just that feeling of dread that drops on a person, and we're not teenagers running about screaming in dark, or ghost hunters running about imagining we've seen things. Because I think in all years I've been going up there, the feeling of fear has only come on to me once, and I know it's come on to Mark, and I know that Ian, when he saw the light on the cliffs a few months ago, don't ask me when, I think it was just after Christmas, openly said it frightened him, made him feel frightened. So it's mixed. I guess it's mixed, Maverick. Whatever. Now then, here's one. Could it be the same phenomena? Because it has no regard for whether it's making us feel frightened or whether it's making us feel happy. Could it just be when it's in our presence, depending on what mood we're in, it's picking up on it and giving the same back? Am I talking rubbish? I don't know. It's difficult to know the intent of what something that definitely doesn't think like a human being is, or what it wants from us, if anything. What it wants from us might be the last thing that we could imagine, because all we're doing is analysing it and comparing it to other things that we would compare in the natural world. These things aren't in natural world, not the world that we live in and exist in, and the environment that we're in. These things are from somewhere else, some other sphere of existence that just seems to be on the very fringes of our reality and are able to slip through when conditions are right. And I think it's a mindset thing, you know. I really do. And I think if you can have a bit of concentrated effort, and we don't use CE5, but we'd use that as an example. A bit of concentrated effort, a correct thought process, and I think you can tap into it. Maybe that's the doors, the way of opening it up. Maybe that's what clairvoyance is. Maybe that's what using a Ouija board is, because we've said loads of times we don't use that kind of we don't use anything like that as a tool, but that's all it is. The board's not magic. It's what's inside here and the intent that you're putting into it that creates the connection. And that's what I believe anyway. So I think we could apply that to anything. Do you know what I mean? It's just a matter of right thought process, power of prayer. So let's have a look. My mum saw a swirling DNA, helix-looking material in her bedroom in the middle of the night, just seemingly observing her. That's interesting, Laura. It sounds a bit like what Mick saw. Obviously, he's seen these black strands, and I don't know if you picked up on it. I'm not going to play it again because it's pretty hard going listening to him. I'll see if I can. He'll not mind me saying that either, by the way. I'm not doing him a disservice, but I'll see if I can get him to slow down, because I'm recording him as I'm walking and he's out as well. But imagine reaching up and being able to feel these things like paper. That's quite something, isn't it? So, swirling DNA. Did you say what colour it was, Laura? We'll probably not get to that because I don't know how we fix with these questions. Let's have a look. I hope you're vetting these, Lise. Oh, Sarah Jennison. I know this lady. I've taken a video of a ribbon-like mist in my bedroom a week or so ago that I meant to show you the other day. Wow, that's interesting. Shall I tell you why? This is my eldest daughter, this, Sarah. And Sarah told me probably, oh gosh, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, she was stood in her kitchen and somebody, I told Heidi, I think, and Jenny this other night, somebody walked up. She thought Luke, her husband, had walked up behind her and put his hands on her waist. She turned around, there's nobody there. So it's interesting that she's filmed this. And I didn't know about this mist. And then she came through. We were doing a few things on computer the other day. She were helping me with something. Totally unrelated to this, and she said, I were in kitchen again, in the same place in the kitchen, only the other day, and something tapped me on head. And now I've taken a video of a ribbon light mist in my bedroom a week or so ago that I meant to show you the other day. That's interesting, Sarah. And you can tell, I tell you what, guys, you can tell I've only just found out about it because I'd have been showing it you now. And so we might have a look at that next Sunday. So that's interesting. It's interesting that when you're talking about a ribbon, the ribbons, and we're talking about this swirling paper-like swirling material. Yeah, it's fascinating, that, Sarah. Thanks for sharing that with us. And she's my best daughter, you know. Only joking, Laura. Other ones in here as well. Laura's my best. Let's have a look. No, they're all good. Let's have a look. I'm wondering if this swirling experience could be some kind of migraine aurora. Sometimes you get migraine with no pain. Just a suggestion. And a good suggestion, Rhiannon. Seriously, it is. And I wondered if it was some kind of episode like that. It's just the fact that it disappeared as soon as he got up, went back to bed, and it, as you heard him, went back to bed and it came again, turned over. He stopped when he turned over to the other side, then it came again, and he could actually feel it. But I'm not ruling that out. I'm not in a position, I'm not medically trained, and I did tell Martin about this, to be honest with you, and you know, he didn't form any opinions, but I told him, and it was just the feeling that he could touch these things that fascinated me. But we can't rule that out, and it's going to be one of them, Rhiannon, that we'll never know, will we? We truly will never know. I don't know what that means. Rick said, did she ever see it again? And it's not in caps, so I'm not sure. It may be a conversation you're having. All right, let's have a look. Sally. I remember lying on the bed one afternoon watching the ceiling become covered in peach-coloured butterflies. Watched it for about a minute, then they faded. Wow, it's crazy, isn't it? The things that we see and experience, and nothing had surprised me. All right, what's this then? Look out for work, Paul. Look out for the work Paul has been doing with Rick Allen. Yeah, well, we're going to be a few weeks yet. I can't say it enough because Rick's views aren't going to fit with everybody's views. And he's sat in here now, so he's listening. And I hope he's grinning because I mean it with best intent. But they're valid. And a lot of what Rick says you can't argue with. It's good. So we're going to kick these about and get 3 interviews done and then fire them out. But seriously, you'll enjoy them. I'm pretty sure of it, guys. You'll enjoy them. Let's have a look. Amazing myself. Best is today. Mum, what's this? Oh, Humby. I thought you said mummy. Sorry, Lee. Humby is amazing. And myself, it's the best. It really is. It's an amazing, amazing story. And not only that, we've got, there's the 3 main witnesses are still with us. And touch wood, they'll remain with us for a long time. The sons, Dave and Nick, who experienced it as well. I mean, they're only in the late 30s, early 40s. As I say, and I spoke to Nick today, and I spoke to him Saturday. So, and it were him that brought it up. You know, we really should get on with that this year. And they're probably, or Nick's probably in a position to just tease a little bit more and leave her a little bit more out in with people that I couldn't get, obviously because he's so close to the source, with the main witness being his dad. So yeah, I think it'd be madness not to jump on board and work on Humby. So let's have a go. Thanks, Lee. Let's have a look. Do you think the phenomenon likes crowds of people? More chance of seeing something if you're alone? Simon, it's difficult, isn't it? Because sometimes, like you said, lone individuals do have the experience. You know, but likewise, not crowds, but groups of people. I don't know about crowds. I suppose there has been mass sightings of things, but it makes you wonder if it's almost like a collective hysteria. If one person suddenly started screaming, do they all start screaming? If one person says he's seen something, do we all imagine we've seen it? I'm not saying these things are imaginary, But it's a difficult one, isn't it? And I just don't think that the phenomena discriminates or even has any care of what it does to the human being. I really don't. I think everything's to its own end. And I know there'll be some people that don't agree with that, but so what? You know, we can't all agree, can we? And I see that. I think Humby is the best incident I've ever heard. Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. You know, it's only the fact that I've not pushed it more and more that it probably rated as one of the best UFO incidents in world. Quite honestly, it really is that good. And you know Andrew, which is Nick and Dave's dad, he's still. If I spoke to him tonight, he still thinks it was staged. Seriously, he still thinks that flying saucer that he saw at the back of the compound with the alien being inside it, all things that he said he's seen, it can't be real, can it? So it were like a little 1950s, 1960s flying saucer, and it were there, and there were you've heard him. I think you guys have probably heard, and there's a little being in it, and I could see it. Why would they stage it for 3 men working in an industrial unit in 1998, and they'd get all this electrical kind of punching lighting that's coming off this thing, and the smoke and the steam that's coming off it, and just for 3 men at the back of an industrial unit? I mean, Andrew could be right, but I don't see why not. And then you've got to consider the 3 years of the 3 years of unexplained phenomena, the 3 years of intense activity that took place prior to the flying saucer. 3 years. The coins dropping out of the air, the glass jars falling out of the air and smashing, tin lids. There's 3 men working, sometimes in early hours at morning, and these things are happening. It's intense. Gravel falling out of the air, huge footprints on the boot, roof, bonnets of cars, and no damage to the panels of the cars. I mean, we've just been talking about the cryptid type phenomena. We're looking at something I believe that probably weighs between 400 and 800 pounds. And if you if you walked on the bonnet and the roof and the boot of a car, there's going to be panel damage, but no damage. But the footprints are there. It's almost as though I want to show you this, because there's no sense in just walking over the top, is there? Although I know we can't know the logic of these things. And then coming out on a night and seeing the little pyramids, little perfectly formed piles of gravel on the bonnets of the cars. Nobody saw it happening. Nobody saw anybody doing it. Humby's got all ingredients of something really special. Well, it is. It's not of something special. It is special. And I totally agree. Let's have a look. I don't know if we've done that one alone. And what's Sarah Jennison? All right, let's just I've just seen it there. Hi, Rhiannon. Mine was definitely not a migraine aurora. It happened for a good few minutes, and I started to record it. Yeah, good point, Sarah. Yeah, but it's also a good point that Rhiannon's put in, Sarah, because, you know, I'm not saying it was either, and you had told me a few weeks before about feeling the presence of somebody touching you on hips, and then you told me that somebody tapped you or something tapped you on the head, and that were only a few days ago. On my tea lady is here now. Look, thank you. She knows which cup to get me as well. Right, I'm only joking. She's boss, not me. So yeah, thanks, Sarah, and thanks, Rhiannon. Let's have a look. Let's just go down here. We'll do another little story if we've got no else. But we'll have a look here. Hi, Paul. I appreciate your experiences were uncomfortable and frightening. Is there anything you feel was also developed as a result, i.e., a new skill, new ability, etc.? You know, I don't know. I've always been, and I don't want to dwell on me too much. It's your live stream. I know there's only me rabbiting on here, but I've always been intense. If I focus on something, then I do it to my best ability. You know, I decided I wanted to write a book, The First Night People, that orange cover, and I didn't let up until I'd written it, and then I wrote the other one and the other one. I shouldn't have been writing books. I've not, you know, I weren't brilliant at school. I have no problem in saying that. I weren't brilliant at school. I were good at writing poetry and creating things, words and that are very, very creative, but not really somebody who are going to achieve a great deal as regards exams and things. Yeah, done the books and people seem impressed with the books, which I'm impressed because I've done them before the advent of AI. Then I decided I was going to paint. And some of you might know, some of you won't know, but our house is full of paintings, literally full. And I had a session from 2009 to 2015 where I just couldn't switch off, just painting all the time, literally just painting. And I'd never painted prior to that. You know, people said, well, you need to read a lot. You need to know what you're doing and how to form things if you're writing. And I don't read books. Do you know, seriously, I don't read books. Need to take some lessons if you're painting. I never have. Do you know, I literally paint, and maybe we'll show a few paintings in next week or so. But they're half decent. They're okay. They're unusual. But so a new skill, I don't know. And you do. That's interesting question. We'll take it away from me, Tim. A lot of people touched by the phenomena suddenly, as you know, Tim, because you've put that down there, suddenly find some new enhanced ability that they never had before. And now that's fascinating, isn't it? In itself, they become very creative. They start writing, or they take on. They have a flair for art. Don't forget the things that were happening to me started in childhood. So, starting with artwork in 2009, I don't think we can connect that really, but some people do. And yeah, they become very artistic, don't they? And lots of other abilities. I've never heard of anybody, you tell me guys, who've been enhanced physically, as in, I don't know, attributes of being able to run faster or anything like that. It's always from within, isn't it? It's always it's something within our mental capacity and our ability to produce things, I don't know, artwork and writing and creativeness that is enhanced, not the physical prowess, should we say. Don't know. Interesting. Good question, that, Tim. Excuse me. Karen, thank you. Appreciated. Let's have a look. I'm sorry for just skipping through that, because I really do appreciate anybody that does that for Truth Proof channel. Really, really do. But I don't want anybody else to think that you've got to do that, because you don't. Everybody's welcome here, honestly. Me and Linny talked about that on stream on Clifftops other day. Says somebody just give you a donation, you put it up and you went thank you, and then went off it. That's the reason. It's not lack of appreciation. I just don't want other people to think that's we need to do this, but nobody does. But I appreciate it. Let's have a look. Laura Sinclair's in. It's Botel, isn't it? Sinclair Botel. We've just talked about you, Laura. I'm just going down these questions, guys. It don't look like we've hotels. Let's have a look. Dragonborn. Please spare me Miss Fielding's screaming drama. That's a bit harsh, Dragonborn. No, I don't particularly think that Yvette Fielding would be interested in standing on a cold cliff top in the dead of winter. It's harsh. I mean, even now in this time of year, it's wicked. It gets really cold. Isn't that dog beautiful? In Dragonborn's thumbnail. Let's have a look. I'm just David Brigham. Let's have a look. Hi, Paul. The Lyrid meteor shower is active at the moment, and it's known for fireballs. Seeing which would have seen the other night. Keep up the good work. Yeah, immediately I thought it were some kind of meteor or comet. It was really big, really bright, and it did break through atmosphere and come down. I didn't see it enter the sea, but I'm sure Rob did, or said he did. Let's just have a look here, guys. Let's just see whether I've got a strange one here. I don't know what. Oh, I've dropped my pen. I'd like to blame somebody else for doing that, but I can't. Let's have a look. This is a strange one, and you'll have to bear with me because it took a bit of deciphering this. Right, so we'll do this one. We'll just get rid of the meteor shower. Hi, Paul. I recently started watching your YouTube channel, and it's been sent a bit actually, so you can see how far behind I am. It was sent on the 29th of the 9th, 2025. I'd like to tell you about an experience I had. 2019, I woke up in the night to use the toilet, and whilst there, I looked out of the window and saw a massive UFO hovering over the freshwater reservoir that was across the road from my house. At first, I thought it was the moon. And so that's where it's at. So we know it's a round circular white object. I was so overwhelmed and wanted to see it clearly, more clear, so I quickly got dressed and went outside with my little dog. I used to run around the reservoir most days, so I instantly thought I would do an early morning run and take in the view of what I was seeing, if you get what I'm saying. For some reason, I was still thinking it was the moon. Anyway, I headed out and it was just getting light. The sun was just coming up as I ran down the road, entering the car park. I'm presuming the car park to the reservoir. Right. And I was into the run. I was around the middle of the reservoir when I started to realize something was wrong. I mean, everything sounds wrong, really, doesn't it? He's seen this in early hours at morning. He's obviously he didn't think UFO then, but that's where we're going with it. He's decided to get up and do an early morning run, and then he gets halfway around and he realizes something was wrong. I know now that everything about it was wrong. And then it went dark. It went darker than dark, like something had switched off a light. I was slightly confused, in fact, very confused, as to what the hell I was doing there. So it's almost as though suddenly he's realized this situation's not right. Well, I think we can all gather that. I kept going on regardless of my concerns. Let's have a go. I then started to feel like I was struggling to run. I saw a massive flash of light from the distance, around half a mile away, but in the direction I was heading. Then a 7-foot, dark-figured shaped human stumbled, and that's his words, stumbled out walking. Then the light went off again and I couldn't see it anymore. 7 foot. Suddenly the running got even harder and harder, and I'd started to think I'm going to have a heart attack. Anyway, 5 minutes later, I'm struggling but still running. I then reached a point where I can go through a gap and head towards my house. It's a quicker way, so I decided to go through. Hold on. Let's have a look. The figure I had seen earlier, was standing there. It was maybe 7, maybe even 8 feet tall. It was looking at my dog. It was looking at my dog, and he was on a zipper lead 20 foot away, running wide to me. Then I heard in my mind, Jinn, Anunnaki. So there's a voice spoke to him in his mind. I am now about 50 foot away, and I've passed this thing, and I looked back because I remember seeing its feet, and they were not normal. It was a big, dark-skinned human shape at first, but then it was also sort of snake-looking. Anyway, I ran for my life for the next 10 minutes. I even went the longer way round the village to get back to my house. These people's stories, and it's not just the people, I respect for whoever sends me these, it's fascinating. When I looked at the time, it was 3:45 a.m. I was totally confused when I got home. I think I had a shower, lay on the bed and saying, what the hell has just gone on? The next thing I know, I'm waking up and it's sick and hearing the 6 a.m. alarm for work. And I'm saying out loud, no way, no way. I do not consent to that. This thing spoke to me with telepathy, no voice, just feeling strange. It said it wanted my dog, and I didn't agree. I moved houses a few months later, and my dog went missing. Don't know what to make of that. What do you guys think? And we're probably not going to get to it, are we? But you reply, we may do, but strange story, that one, isn't it? You know, and it said to him, Jinn, Anunnaki. Fascinating. Let's move on, see whether there's any more questions, guys. So, Tim, what you got here, Tim? I recommend Richard D. Hall's show about Rendlesham Forest, entitled 40 Years of Lies, in which statement analysis Peter Hyatt examines the statements of the witnesses, which cast doubt on it. Okay. I don't mind watching them. I'm presuming they're on on YouTube. I've done a bit of work with Richard D. Hall, to be honest with you, years ago, and he came through and we did the Wolds UFOs, and that were a strange one, to be honest with you, because not strange in the fact of unexplained phenomena. And I was friends with a farmer up on the Wolds, up near Staxton. And I think people will have heard me talk about this guy before. Really nice fella, and his wife. And he had cameras on, moving cams, 24/7, filming because of the unexplained phenomena that he'd been observing for years. Huge hard drives, collecting all this data. It's absolutely, you could call it obsessed. He were absolutely fixed on capturing the footage of the unexplained, and he'd captured lots and lots of interesting things. I think I've said many times that this man's probably got more footage of unexplained phenomena, as in strange lights mainly, although there were some things that were quite close, than anybody I know. And do you know what the sad thing is? Most of that footage, and if you're listening to this, Bill, most of that footage is just going to go to grave with people, you namely, which is a shame, because it needs to be shared. People need to see that. And what we're saying, so he contacted Richard and told him about the footage, sent him some images, and then when Richard came through for, I don't know, a couple of days to talk, interview the man and look at the footage, he didn't want to do it. And the guy we're talking about contacted me and asked me if I would stand in his place. And so I literally drove from Danes Dyke, where I was with my little dog and my wife, and we drove and met him, and we did the Wolds UFOs, the footage that I'd got, which were very similar to what he'd been filming, but he'd got a lot more of that footage than I'd got, you know. And yeah, fascinating. It was him that put me on to these light forms that were being seen out over the East Yorkshire Wolds, and presumably everything was still happening over the sea as well. So Richard's analysis on Rendlesham, I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. I've spoken to witnesses to Rendlesham Forest, not necessarily the airmen, not the military personnel, although I have spoken on numerous occasions to Colonel Holt face to face. And he seems quite sincere. He's quite sure about what he saw or what he didn't see. Also spoke to another airman who was on the neighbouring base. I'd always get name wrong. I think it's RF Watton. Somebody can correct me on that. And he's no axe to grind with anything regarding unexplained phenomena. I just merely found out that this guy was there, and he'd already said to his friend, who I knew at the time, that they tracked things on their radar, and the American military came and took away all the evidence a few days later. So that's somebody who's never put his head above the parapet to say they were involved in some kind of UFO incident. So that adds a little bit more weight to it. But whether these witnesses are sort of embellishing the case, I don't know, Tim. Maybe some of them are. Maybe some of them just want to be in on story. I know there's been a lot of animosity over the years about it, but what's interesting, I spent some time in Rendlesham Forest with Derek Savory, and Derek's passed away now. Lovely guy, Derek. Went and stayed at his home, and spent a bit of time in Forest with him and Brenda Butler. And anybody who knows Brenda will know that she helped get the story out, and she spent a lot of time in her younger years in and around the forest. But jumping away from the Rendlesham incident, but being in that forest, and I didn't see any of this and I didn't experience it, but Derek had got on his desk at home, he'd got quite a collection of about 8 or 9 stones, probably about 2-inch round. Where am I going with this? You said he claims, and other people have claimed the same thing, that these just fell from air, and when they picked them up, they were warm to touch or hot in some instances. And he'd taken them on with him. That's nothing to do with Rendlesham Forest incident, but isn't it fascinating that there's cryptid reports in that place? The Rendlesham Forest incident is just one of many incidents of unexplained phenomena reported around that location. So you've got a multi-phenomena area. So it's not surprising, is it, that that in 1980, Christmas 1980, something truly spectacular was seen. But 7 days a week, 24 hours in every day, all them days and all those years, who's to say what's happened that could have been even more incredible? It's like just a snapshot. We're only on those cliff tops. We're only in these areas for a fraction of the time that these areas are operating and running as regards all the living things around them and the unexplained phenomena. We're probably missing all this stuff. Does it happen when people aren't there? I should imagine it does, but who can say? Rambling a bit there, guys, weren't I? I seem good at that, me. Let's have a look. Paul, have the trawlermen ever said they've ever had anything happen to their nets or burnt through their nets? Do you know something? We'll save this for, if I remember, for next week. I've got a report from a trawlerman, and I think it's trawlerman, deep sea fishing, but there's something to do with steel cables below the water that they're pulling in, and the cables, they've done me a full write-up on it, and the cables are cut like you would cut paper with butter, no frayed or anything, something really sharp's cut through them. Does that mean it's UFO related? I need to look at the report now, because it's a long time since I got that report, and then I'll be able to tell you better what it were about. It is to do with unexplained phenomena, as in some strange object. Yeah, so I'll have a look at that. So, but burnt through that? No, I've not heard anything. There's definitely a trawler, a small fishing vessel, and I don't know that it's still in Bridlington Harbour, that reported being alongside a luminous object below water, and it was solid because the boat scraped alongside of it. And I've said it a few times when I've been on here. If you were on that boat or you knew who it was, I'd love to talk to you. I really would, because that's an interesting one. So thank you, Mark Buck, Lee Roscoe, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Janice, Margaret Webster, Zen, we've done you, Zen, Stu Heaton, let's have a look. Going back 30 years now, I saw about 9 transport oval-shaped UFTs flying in formation over Harrogate, North Yorkshire. It did not frighten me in a way. If anything, I was honoured to see them. Yeah, I can get that, Stuart, you know. Yeah, I really can. Sometime last year, I can't remember the date, you guys maybe can, there were the sightings all over UK of what people said were the SpaceX. And if you look online now, there's a lot of people saying, I don't want to create a conspiracy here, but there's a lot of people saying that was not the SpaceX. Apparently, meaning, let me just get to my point, then I'll jump to SpaceX. When we were watching this from the cliff tops, Ian said, thank you. You know, it was almost like an honor to see it. Even if it was man-made, it looked spectacular. But when I'm going with this, let me stay with the SpaceX for a moment. They said all the news reports said that it would be visible for a few minutes. We've got 12 minutes of film of that, and we would have had more. It was behind us. We were walking probably for 3 or 4 minutes to get to where we wanted to be. And it was only when we stopped and turned around that we saw it. And there's lights, there's not just light, the light that's coming out and fanning out. There's lights inside it moving around. It's really interesting. And there's a lot of people. I mean, you can talk to people in Hull that say that they saw it coming the opposite direction to us, which is it's fascinating. There's probably work that needs doing on that, to be honest with you. And I know we've jumped from Stu's question there, but it led us to summit, didn't it, guys? Let's have a look here. Paul, people have recorded seeing grey-like creatures when talking about taking psychedelic DMT, as well as wakeful state. We are dealing with are we dealing with a phenomenon that's is both nuts and bolts and spiritual? We could be, you know, we could well be. It's difficult, isn't it? Because I suppose it's culture and your own belief system that shapes what the phenomena is. You know, in some cultures and in some religions, everything that we're seeing these dark, which we are seeing, with dark shadows in the shape of humans on and around these areas where we go. Some would say it were the jinn. And without a shadow of a doubt, that's what they would say it is. I'm not going to say, no, you're wrong, it's not. But culture and the way that we brought up to believe in things dictates what we think we're seeing. Obviously, if you're Christian and deeply religious, you might think that some of the things that people see, it's almost angelic. But seeing grey-like creatures, and do you know, are these means to, I'm not advocating people use any of this stuff, you know, but are they means to the other side of the veil? Is it a way of accessing this other realm? Who can say? You know, it might well be. And I've never used it, so I don't know. I couldn't say. But there you go. Let's have a look. Bumps in. Let's have a look here. Paul, is Bringing Down the Light still available to watch? Loved Wolflands. We sold Bringing Down the Light. I'd have to speak to Chris, because when we say we sold it, I think it was sold for a number. Well, I know it was sold for a number of years, and we will get it back. So no doubt we will be doing something with it, and we might. I can't speak for Chris here, but I would think if we were going to do something with it, we'll probably revamp it a little bit as well. But I enjoyed making that, you know, bringing down the light. I must admit, just as much as I enjoyed making Wolflands. And as I say, me and Les, we will be kickstarting what we've called Wolflands 2, and I'm on with one with Chris, and I've got it's just non-stop. But I'm not complaining. I do enjoy it. Let's have a look. What's Lee saying? Have you? Oh, if you have any paranormal sightings, encounters, please email me. He's put my email address down there, guys. And please bear with me, because I've spoken to a few people today, and a few of them people probably emailed me a couple of months since. And so, yeah, I do try my hardest to get to people and talk to them wherever possible. Which is good for me, and it's good for you guys, isn't it? Jane Louise Harding, good to see you. Stargazer Eternal, we've done Blue Shift. Mark Rhodes, always good to see Mark. And Jane, because that's your brother. I realise that. But hi, Paul, hope you're well. Great show tonight, really enjoying it. I'd love for Mark to come back up on cliff tops. Now, he knows where I'm going with this. You're probably thinking, I didn't put it in caps, Paul, don't talk about it, but I'm going to do. Because Mark can pick up on things. And I'm not saying everybody that says, oh, I can feel this and there's a presence here are telling the truth. But he picked up on a lot of things on the cliff tops when he came up, and he didn't say he were into that. I overheard him and Jane talking. I was there, obviously, but I just said, what's happening here then, you know? And he picked up on things on cliff tops that really he couldn't have known. And because some of the stuff we'd not talked about. Likewise, we had a lady called Annie come up who picked up on a lot of stuff. And when she started talking, getting messages, as she said, from, I don't know, from the other side, from spirit, presumably, or wherever Annie gets this information from, excuse me, it was just like a machine gun firing out the words, not stopping for breath, just literally. And there were a coherency to the words as well. You know, she were making sense. So that was fascinating as well. So, you know, it's great having time for all genres of the unexplained and seeing how it meshes into everything that we're doing as well, rather than just closing ourselves off and boxing it off into this is what we look into, and we're not really interested in that part of the phenomena, which is what some big UFO organizations do. And that's why I've been asked to be representatives, well, for one big one, and I'm not bothered. Phil Wright, let's have a look, Phil. And great email I got from you today, Phil. Thank you very much. If alien life has visited Earth, are we experiencing the same difficulty in trying to communicate with us as we are trying? I believe so. But if it's visited Earth, Phil, these are just my views, say it's from another star system, so it's obviously more technology advanced than we are, but it might have no comprehension of what we're about. Don't forget, we're the stupid species that sent our DNA blueprint into space. We sent the menu into space, basically, aren't we? Because not every... What do we do if we find a food source? If we find some kind of element that we can use and exploit for ourselves, we just do it. But we've sent the DNA blueprint to the human species and basically life on Earth into space. I think that's a bit foolish, really. But who can say? But are they trying to communicate? I think that, do we try and communicate with a dolphin or any species? Our own dogs, they know when we're happy, don't they? They know when we're sort of happy with them, and they also pick up on when you're not happy. Maybe that's how they view us. But I'm not saying that we're pets, but maybe they don't. But then I say that and I contradict myself instantly, because when you think about it, the abduction phenomenon, you're incapacitated, and in some instances these things are communicating with you inside your mind. But it doesn't matter where you live, meaning you could live at the other side of the world and speak another language. They communicate. So they are on a different level to anything. If everybody's telling truth, they can't all be lying. So this phenomena, these unknown others, non-human intelligences, they are on a different level to us, aren't they? If they've got that ability that they can actually converse in any language, literally across the board throughout the world, then I don't think they've got a difficulty trying to communicate with us. What they might not understand what we're feeling, maybe, I don't know. I'm trying to comprehend what another intelligence would think to us, and I've got no idea, to be honest, Phil. But it's a great question, and good to see you, Phil, and thanks for email today, mate. We're appreciated. Have I missed any Men in Black encounters? Jane, there's next week, all being well, the lady who's going to be speaking for between 8 and 9. It's not so much a Man in Black encounter, but it's a black. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to give it away. Entity, coloured entity, and not skin. I'm on about. That's what she's seeing black from childhood to present day, and she's going to relay some of them stories to us. But so that's the most recent, but not exactly Men in Black. Men in Black. Are people reporting encounters with Men in Black now? I know Bob Brown had that strange experience, and we're going back to 2017, so we're going back 9 years. But is it something that's sort of tapered off? I don't know. You guys tell me if you've got any experiences of things like that. I'd love to hear it. Let's have a look. I didn't think we'd get 2 hours tonight, guys. I really didn't, because let's have a look. Let's go here. Where are we going? Right, Sally. Can I please ask what became of your experiment where you buried the watches? I stopped doing it, Sally. It was difficult because, and I don't. That's another one. I'll make a note of that, because I'll not watch this back again. Watches, and we'll go through it all. Maybe next week or week after. And I think it was 2019 for the people that don't know. Analog quartz watches. Fishermen on the cliff tops, the rock anglers had reported, not loads of them, but I'd got 2 reports of anomalies with time, where they presumably looked at their watch and thought, I'm going to fish till, what time is it? 7 o'clock. I'm going to fish till, I don't know, 8 o'clock. And when they look again, it's 11. And strange things. They don't think that they've been abducted or anything. It's almost like there's some time distortion. So I decided to, on the cliff tops, get these plastic containers, watertight containers, and bury 3 pairs of watches, just basically along the areas where they'd reported this, and see if anything happened. But you've got to imagine, Sally, the time involved. I'm not doing any damage, but I had to put them in a place where I could retrieve them every time. There's a fence all the way along, so it don't matter now because they've gone. They're not there anymore, but I knew which posts I'd put them at. B, you've got to hang about so nobody can see you doing it. You're not really doing anything wrong, but obviously if somebody's going to look at what you've done. So it was something that went on over months and months, but it was massively time consuming to keep going and checking these watches and finding them at all hours, So, but we did have one result. So I think I'll have to get the information out because I want to get it right. I want to sort of go through it all. So what happened to them? I had to pack in, and I just haven't got enough time day, in night to devote to doing that. But those time experiments, we had one result where a pair of the watches had both stopped at roughly the same time. You tried to set them. Let's assume we set them all at 12 o'clock. But I didn't. I just set them at time that they were at when we did it. But two of them had stopped. All the others, and I think I'd set them at 400 paces apart along the cliff tops. But we'd got an instance where two had stopped. So that were interesting at the same time, which is, it shouldn't happen, should it? Let's have a look here. Simon, thank you. Really appreciate that, mate. That's very good of you. Let's have a look. What's this, Ian? Jack got touched under his arm. Yeah. These are things that we forget about. Jack was up on cliff tops with us, and we could all be lying, of course. And I'm not saying that because I think Jack is. I really don't. I think he's telling the truth. But he said, "Hi guys, someone's just touched me under my arm," and we all get that from time to time up there. I can't think that it's happened to me this year. It's happened to Pete. But not this year, but it's happened to Pete 2 or 3 times over the last few years. He said somebody pushed him in back. They're all things that all we can do is relay that information. It is a truth that leaves no proof, as the subtitle at first book says, because the proof is only what's in the person's mind who's experienced it, and then he relays it to us. But we've all known each other long enough now to know that we're not coming out with these things all the time. It's far and few between, when we go to these locations. So yeah, I forgot about that, Ian. Let's have a look here. Did you ever speak to the guy camping at Gisborne? Yes, if you look, Gren, go back 2 weeks, and Michael's on the stream, and he might even be in here now. Agnes Tiger, Arachnans. I can't even pronounce it. Mark, Book, Sally. Sorry, just distracted. He came on and he told us about it and shared it with us. So if you want to hear that from the horse's mouth, just go back a few weeks when I'm speaking to Mike Pennock, and you'll hear him relaying that story. Great guy, incredible story, and had a lifetime once again. Somebody with a lifetime of strange experiences. So, yeah, have a listen to that one and see what you think. Let's have a look. Jane says, "Do you think someone or something wanted you to write and paint?" Jane, it's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult to say. All I know is if I fix on something, I just can't get it out of my mind. I've got to be doing it, and that's a bit sad in a way, isn't it? Because it's compulsive. A bit like this. You'll have heard us say that, and it might be the same for you guys. I mean, we've held on to over 350 people in chat tonight. All of you guys, you're all valued and all sort of wanted here by me and by everybody else, I would think. But whatever it is that's touched you as on an individual person-to-person basis, this phenomena, and I imagine you're all in here because of something like that, or somebody that you have got a lot of faith in who's experienced it, so you believe it. It gets under your skin. It's difficult, isn't it? When we don't go to the locations, we feel guilty. When we get there and you think, oh, another night, nothing apart from we're cold and we're just heading home. But you just know that there's that expectancy. I know that's not your question, Jane. Write and paint. God knows why I started writing, and this isn't the place to talk about poetry. So, and I'm not going to start reciting poems, but what I'm saying is there's hundreds and hundreds in our house, hundreds, and they're deep. And I don't know where they come from. They come from my head, but they're deep. And then then there's the artwork. I mean, we'll get a few pictures up and show you guys a few bits of artwork. Sarah, who's in, my daughter, she's not gonna get me to do it. I think she's gonna help me do it, and she's gonna start getting T-shirts and the truth proof mugs organized and things like that. She said she'd help me with it, and it were her idea. She were talking about it the other day, because there's quite a lot of people said, "Oh, where can we get this? Where could we get that?" And so I'm going to do that. But that's not what Jane asked. Someone or something inspired me to write or paint. I don't know. I really don't know. It was really strange. My dad's brother is an artist, and we bought him some paints, and decided that we were going to give him when he came to visit, and then we forgot. And I thought, well, I'll have a go at painting a picture. And as soon as I started painting this picture, it were watercolors, but I use oils now. I were hooked, and I just couldn't stop doing it. So that's the way of things, isn't it? But maybe everything's got a time and a place, hasn't it? You know, just like coincidence and synchronicities that someone mentioned earlier. Right, Mia girl, what's this? The pyramids of stone, I believe, are a form of communication. Do you know, you could be right, Mia girl. I wouldn't disagree with you. They certainly have been a talking point for many years, haven't they? You know, so why not? And a form of energy, maybe. I don't think we probably not even scratched the surface of those stones to know the true meanings of why they're there, and the things that they were capable of doing. It's a fascinating thing, but yes, a form of communication. Communication to what, though, Mia girl? To the stars? Who's to say? I don't know. Thanks for the question. Right, let's have a look. Ari, new abilities after an experience. John Salter, as a smoker, said he instantly had zero cravings for smoking afterwards, while also having the urge for protein and fish. Well, protein and fish. Well, fish is iron protein, isn't it? That he didn't have before. That's fascinating, isn't it? Yeah. I get the urge for beer. but that's another story. But yeah, protein and fish. Nitrogen, protein. That's where we're at with that, isn't it? That's protein. But yes, fascinating. And why? Why would they want to change a person's... I don't know. Why would they want to change a person's lifestyle? Because that's what they're doing. They must have a reason for changing a person. That subject, if this John Salter is of interest to the unknown others, then his lifestyle wasn't conducive with what the unknown others wanted. So for some reason, presumably, they influenced him to change his habits. And who can say why? I mean, wouldn't it be brilliant if we knew the answers to these things? Wouldn't it be brilliant if these unknown others actually had the ability to cure illness and things, you know? Or maybe they do. Maybe it's just the natural order that they don't do these things. Who can say? Clutching at straws here, aren't I? But it really is difficult to know. Let's have a look. Wolflands. Let's just put that up. Thank you, Lee. Available on DVD to purchase. Yep. And I'm hoping there's another question before we sort of say good night. And I've got a few more stories to tell, guys, but we'll probably wait till next week. Right. Studio 211. People often say there's not enough food to support the British Bigfoot type cryptid. Yet gorillas in the wild are herbivores. You're absolutely right. They are equally powerful, large animals surviving on plants. Yeah, you're spot on. Yeah, and you make a good point. And who's to say that these aren't, well, I think these things, who can say, are they true herbivores, gorillas, or are they omnivorous, as in they eat everything? Because I think for years and years, they thought that the giant panda just ate bamboo. But then they've got footage of it actually being carnivorous. I'm not saying we're splitting hairs here, I realise that, but you make a good point. And these things might be evading detection somewhere within the United Kingdom. Me personally, due to the things that the witness reports them being able to do, I think that these things are something of a paranormal nature. I really do. But who can say? Omnivores. That's a great word, isn't it? Omnivorous. Let's have a look. Benjamin Hollingsworth, guys, after this, take a look at the Kyle Piddock. He's mastered his mind naturally and needs some mode to demonstrate how this process works. Okay, there's another one to have a look at. And mastered his mind naturally. Right, I'm not sure what that means, Benjamin, but full respect to you, mate. We'll have a look. Let's have a look. Hi, Paul. Everyone in chat. I'm a bit late. We'll watch the... no worries, Mel. You're not late to the party, mate. You're always welcome. Let's have a look here. And as I say, next week we talk. Hopefully, I'll talk for an hour. We'll find a few talking points. If you've got some questions you want to line up for next week, just jot them down and then fire them at us. Start with, and we'll do first hour. And hopefully, then this lady's going to come on and share these experiences. And I think we're just about there, guys. Just go down a little bit. Oh, Jane says Defo would like a shirt. Yeah, well, we're going to sort that out, Jane. And basically, I think we've covered it tonight, and we've just had enough questions. So you've supported me as much as I've supported you guys. I've really enjoyed it. I mean, it's more of an insurance policy when I say I'll do an hour, and if we get enough questions, we'll do 2. I always intend doing 2, but obviously I don't like silence. There's some live streams where I've seen the host and he just sort of sits there waiting. And let's just keep it moving. Let's just keep it going. That's the best thing, in my opinion. And if you've got any stories, if you think to yourself, I've got something I really want to get off my chest, I really want to share. It's not political. It's not gonna, I don't know, offend or upset anybody, because we've got to be mindful of that in the world we're in today. Contact me. Let's do it. And if you decided that you didn't want to go on camera, well, let's just hear your audio and share what you've, what you've seen and experienced. What's Sarah put? Last question here. Let's have a look. Yes, we was with you. Ah, right. Absolutely. So I see where Sarah's coming from. So we talked about the SIME experiments. And so I don't know what year it was, Sarah. But Sarah, the first time that I discreetly buried these watchers, as I say, 6 watchers, 2 in each container, Sarah came with me, and Mary, and we just had like a family outing. We had a little walk, but I've buried them. And I'll tell you how good I was. When I decided I was going to go and check them, because that's the thing, that was difficulty with this little experiment. I had to check them every 3 days or so to see if anything had happened. You got to. I mean, ideally, you'd want to do it every day. But time just didn't allow, because obviously you'd no idea if anything had taken place when it happened, because the watch only gives you an indication of when it stopped, or if let's assume they're all reading 4 o'clock, because it is 4 o'clock, and then you've got 2 that are reading 3 o'clock, and you've lost an hour of time, but you've no idea roughly when it happened. So if I'd have left them for 2 weeks, it could have been any time within that 2-week period. It'd be nice to narrow these things down to an approximate date. Don't know what it's telling us, but it's an experiment of sorts. So yes, Sarah, you came with us, and I appreciate that. Let me get rid of that, else that's going to stay on all the way through. So guys, I'm going to end it there. We'll see you next Sunday. And as always, it's been great chatting with you, and I'm going to say good night. Thanks for the support. Really appreciated. Is this an adventure or what? We don't need unexplained phenomena. I hope you guys are enjoying this journey we're taking you on. I know you come expecting to hear about big cats, cryptids, UFOs. We will touch on some of that, but I think it's worth sharing some of this with you, don't you? There's only 2 living souls up here today.
Because I can see it in my mind, I can see it in my head what I saw, but I can't describe.
Our eyes was closed, like a brightish light in my face, and I just felt paralysed.
Someone said there's something out there, so we had a look. It looked like a walnut. That's the only way I can describe it.
It was like it had loads of tiny little windows all over it, and it had lights in those windows, but not a light that illuminates.
Anyway, we were ushered into this lounge. This fella came in, he said, whatever you saw was a weather effect.
And everything is deathly silent. There's no sea, there's no wind, there's no night noise, because there's foxes all over here. There's nothing.